Act 1 of The Rocket by Arthur Wing PINERO. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Rocket. Characters.
Lord Leadenhall. Read by Adrian Stephens.
The Chevalier Walkinshaw. Read by Rob Marland.
John Mable. Read by
ToddHWJoslyn Hammersmith. Read by Tomas
Clement, waiter at the Belle Vue. Read by
Bingle, Lady Hammersmith's servant. Read by Adam
BielkaChatwood, waiter at the Lord Gordon. Read by Son of the Exiles.
Lady Hammersmith. Read by T.J. Burns.
Rosaline Fabriquette. Read by Sonia.
Florence. Read by Jenn
BrodaGeorgette. Read by AvailleStage.
Stage Directions, read by MichaelMaggs. The Rocket. Act 1. Rising. Garden of the Belle Vue Hotel, Dinan-sur-Meuse. Act 2. Mid-air. At Lady Hammersmith's in Portman Square. Act 3. Coming down like a stick. The Lord Gordon, Dover. A month elapses between Acts 1 and 2. The action of Acts 2 and 3 occurs on the same day. The Rocket. Act 1. Rising. Scene. Gardens of the Hotel Belle Vue, Dinan-sur-Meuse. Grass cloth. On the right, tree wings. On the left, hotel front with door leading into hotel. Upstage, open iron railings running from right to left, with gate in centre roadway beyond. On cloth at back, view of Meuse River, crossed by bridge, right centre. Upstage, large chair. Downstage, table and 2 chairs. Left centre upstage, table with cloth and breakfast set. Shrubs in tubs, etc., to fill spaces. Music at rise of curtain. Clement, a waiter, is discovered, wiping table left centre upstage. Lord Leadenhall strolls on from left upstage entrance. Leadenhall is a fair youth of the masher type, foppish and affected. Leadenhall to Clement.
I say, waiter, garçon.
Oui, monsieur?
Oh, I say, look here. Vous parlez anglais, don't you? You speak English, eh?
Yes, sir.
Bien. That's all right.
Sitting right, lazily.
What's going on in this deadly lively little place?
Beg pardon, monsieur?
What's going on here? Isn't there any fun? How do people contrive to amuse themselves at Dinant?
Oh, they go to see all the pretty places. Grotte d'Anne, Château d'Ardin, Montaigne, Pont Vache, Crève-Coeur-Ivoire, Vallon du Boch, les cavernes Walner-Chaleur et les bords de la Laisse, le fond de l'Ef, Jardin de Montefin.
Wait. I'm a little mixed. Now go ahead.
Then there is the Roche-Bayard Saint-Hubert.
Oh, thank you. I won't trouble you further.
Clement going.
Isn't there any enjoyment to be got at hand? Something without much exertion, don't you know?
The Grande Citadelle, up there.
Pointing off left.
How many steps shall I have to mount to get up there?
800, sir.
Leadenhall, rising.
Here, I say you can go.
Clement crosses to hotel as Joslyn Hammersmith strolls on at back from right and looks in at the gates. Joslyn Hammersmith is a good-looking fellow of about 21.
I shall get back to town.
Clement, turning.
Oh, pardon, monsieur. Do you play the billiard?
I should rather think I do play the billiard, but I can't play billiard all by myself.
If you will permit me, sir, I shall have the liberty this afternoon.
Get out.
Perhaps you would prefer to play with the Chevalier Walkinshaw.
No, thank you. The Chevalier has played with me. I haven't any more £20 notes to be swindled out of.
Clement goes out at hotel entrance. Joslyn, who has entered, stops up at back, left centre. Joslyn, aside.
Here is a chance to get into the hotel.
To Leadenhall.
I beg your pardon. Will you play 100 up with me?
Leadenhall turns, fixing his eyeglass, and rises.
I shall be very pleased if you can spare me half an hour.
Hello.
What's the matter?
It's Lord Leadenhall. Don't you remember me?
Oh, yes, perfectly.
They shake hands.
What's your name?
Hammersmith. Joslyn Hammersmith. You recollect our meeting last autumn?
Oh, yes, I should rather think I did.
They shake hands again.
But where was it?
At Biarritz.
Oh, yes, of course it was. I met you and Lady Hammersmith at the casino. How's your wife?
My mother, not my wife.
Yes, I mean your mother, your father's wife.
They stroll down stage.
My father is dead.
Yes, of course he is now, but he wasn't always.
Shaking hands again.
Well, I'm delighted to see you again. Was certain I should. Said to myself only this morning, some day or another, I know I shall fall across that fellow Kensington.
No, not Kensington. Hammersmith.
Yes, I mean Hammersmith. They're very close together. Where are you staying?
Brings out case. Joslyn, pointing off right.
There. The Tête d'Or. Best hotel in Dinan. Where are you?
Here. The Belle Vue. Best hotel anywhere. When did you arrive?
Last Tuesday morning. And you?
Last Tuesday night.
Simultaneously, they produce cigar cases.
Have a cigar.
Take a weed.
They exchange cigars and light up and go behind tables.
What are you doing abroad?
Well, I'm, so to speak, to put it plainly, I'm looking for a wife.
Dear me. Has she run away from you?
No, I'm not married. I'm going to settle down, hearthrug and slippers and all that sort of thing.
I understand. Looking for a sweetheart, you mean?
Yes, I can't let things remain as they are at present. Do you know what people are calling me and fellows like me in London just now?
No.
You'd never guess. John is.
Pauses, sighs, and sits with elbow on table.
Isn't that beastly? And they're hitting us off in Punch and all the comic papers. The consequence is that boys and common persons are very nasty to us in the streets. Isn't that beastly? Young Charlie Backshot, who's one of my set, was so worried and cut up that he wrote his mother and threatened to blow his brains out on a postcard.
Turns to Joslyn in chair.
Dear me, would that hold them?
No, I mean he wrote on a postcard, and then his mother, old Lady Backshot, sent him £70, so he promised to live on, don't you know? But that isn't so shocking as the case of Augustus Fremantle, who was at Eton with me.
What's he done?
He's gone on the stage, and they forced him to play a masher in a nasty opera bouffe. Beastly, isn't it? So a lot of us have made up our minds to marry and retire from public life, as I couldn't find any suitable partie in London.
What? Not in all London?
Well, I did ask 2 or 3, but they declined, I suppose because of seeing the objectionable pictures in Punch, which is a paper that oughtn't to be allowed in a respectable household. So I came abroad to look about me, but I can't stand the beastly exertion now. What do you think?
Rising.
What?
Leadenhall, coming over to Joslyn.
They actually take Punch at this hotel? Now, isn't that beastly? Come along, old chappie. We'll have our game.
Leadenhall is going into hotel when Joslyn stops him.
One moment, Leadenhall. You won't mind my putting a question to you, will you?
Steps back to right centre. Leadenhall returns to him.
My dear chappie.
There's a Mr. Walkinshaw, Chevalier Walkinshaw he calls himself, staying in this hotel.
Yes.
Do you see anything of him?
I've seen everything of him except his money.
2 or 3 steps to left.
Do you know anything?
Leadenhall looks vacantly at hotel, then in front. During this, Joslyn's foot on chair.
I know that the proprietor of this hotel sends in the Chevalier's bill for the Chevalier's eggs and bacon every morning. I know that the Chevalier borrowed £20 of me the first day I came, on the strength of knowing my uncle. I expect I know his uncle. I've ascertained since that he's an old hand on the continent. They call him the Rocket.
The Rocket? Why?
Turns to him. Leadenhall returns, looking into hotel.
Well, he's got a pretty daughter, don't you know?
Joslyn, turning away.
Yes, I know.
A very pretty daughter?
Yes, you said that.
Her name's Florence.
Joslyn, to himself.
Yes, her name's Florence.
And he drags her about from place to place, dresses her up smartly to make a good figure at the table d'hôte, then leads her to the piano where she sings, as well as any of the girls at the Agility Theatre. When the game's up at one place, he moves on to another.
What game?
Up to him.
The game of looking for a rich husband.
Turns to him. Joslyn, indignantly.
Oh, what a shame.
Yes, isn't it beastly? That's why they call him the Rocket. When his girl marries coin, he'll go up in the world. There's nobody here just now, so they're going on to Spa in a day or 2.
Looking at Joslyn, who is shading his eyes with his hands.
What's the matter, old chappie?
Oh, nothing. The sun's in my eyes, that's all.
Takes corner right and turns and goes to him.
One word more. From what you have seen of the Chevalier and his daughter, do you think this girl is the old man's confederate or his victim?
I think she's deadly unhappy. Never smiled the other night when I told her an amusing story at the dinner table about Hodgkinson of the Blues and his new horse. A most amusing story. Confederate or victim? Oh, I should say the latter. Can't help herself.
Joslyn, taking Leadenhall by the hand, warmly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why, Hammersmith, I believe you're hit.
Aside.
I shall get my £20.
No, I only pity the girl.
Oh, I beg pardon?
Aside.
I shan't get my £20.
John Mable enters hurriedly, appearing at back from right. He is a white-haired man, about 55, with a bronzed face and gentle manner. Mable, outside gate.
Is that you, Hammersmith?
Joslyn, turning.
Yes.
Then I found you at last.
Joslyn, introducing Leadenhall.
This is Lord Leadenhall, Mr. Mable.
How are you? Beastly hot, isn't it?
Mr. Mable and I made each other's acquaintance on the boat coming from Namur about a week ago. We're both staying at the Tête d'Or.
I'll stroll on the bridge for 5 minutes. I'll be back for the billiards. We'll make it pool if your friend will join us.
Thanks.
Leadenhall goes off through gates off left.
You've left our hotel so very early the last 2 or 3 mornings that I've seen little or nothing of you, Mr. Hammersmith. I didn't know you had a friend here.
Joslyn, embarrassed.
Leadenhall, oh yes.
So you are not likely to hurry away from Dinant?
No, I've been thinking I ought to have.
In that case, then we part company, because I start for England tonight.
Has anything happened?
Thank heaven, yes.
Joslyn goes upstage and crosses to Clement when he enters.
Garçon?
Enter Clement from hotel.
Oui, monsieur?
Une bouteille de vin rouge.
Oui, monsieur.
Clement re-enters hotel.
I am disappointed at losing your companionship. Is your mind made up?
Yes, I can't return yet, but we shall meet in London nevertheless.
How and when, my dear Hammersmith?
Joslyn takes out a card and writes on it.
Easily settled. Will you call on my mother when you are in town and report me all well? She'll welcome you for my sake, and you'll always know where to find me.
Gives card. Mable, reading.
Lady Hammersmith, Portman Square.
My father was an alderman of the City of London and sheriff the year somebody did something or other somewhere in the city. He wasn't spared to be Lord Mayor, poor old dad. That's my only consolation.
Mable, pocketing card.
I'll not fail to present this. Thank you, Hammersmith.
Offering his hand. Joslyn, taking it.
My Christian name is Joslyn, Mr. Mable.
I take the hint.
Clement re-enters with wine and glasses and places them on table, left centre, downstage. Joslyn, placing money on salver.
Thank you.
Merci, monsieur.
Clement goes out. Joslyn comes down to chair left of table.
You'll take some wine?
Mable, coming right of table.
Thank you.
Joslyn pours out wine and hands glass to Mable.
Mr. Mable, you confided to me when we first met that you were in search of someone very, very dear to you, someone you had lost. Today you say you have received news. Let me drink Godspeed and good fortune to you.
They put their glasses together.
Thank you. When I told you I was looking for someone dear to me, I did not tell you whether that someone was a man or a woman, a boy or a girl.
No.
I like you, Joslyn, and I'll let you into my secret.
Holding up his glass.
Drink to my discovering Florence.
Joslyn, starting.
Florence?
What's the matter?
Nothing. Only I know a Florence.
So do I, a dozen. But not my Florence. Drink. My Florence.
Joslyn, aside, drinking and looking towards hotel.
My Florence.
Joslyn puts down glass and sits, thinking.
Everything spells Florence.
Mable goes from table to centre.
I have let you so far into my secret that I'm inclined to tell you the rest.
Puts foot on chair.
I shall respect your confidence, Mr. Mable.
This Florence I'm in search of is my own flesh and blood. My daughter.
Your daughter? Why, how?
How did I lose her? I'll tell you.
During the recital, he paces up and down, occasionally pausing by Joslyn.
My young wife died 17 years ago, when our only child was but 3 months old. At that time things had gone wrong with me. I was a poor man, almost a beggar. But shortly after my wife's death, the chance came to me of employment in India, 150 miles up country from Bombay. There was only one obstacle to my accepting this tempting offer. My little baby, who had been christened Florence.
Why not have taken your child with you?
What? To share the dangers of a hard life in what was little better than a jungle? Fiddle-dee-dee, no. For the child's sake as well as my own, I determined to place it under the care of my only relative, my brother Joshua. I left the child in Joshua's keeping with as much money as I could scrape together, and quitted England. Fortune favored me in India. From time to time I sent remittances to my brother Joshua, who reported that my child was flourishing. But after about 10 years, his letters suddenly ceased.
He had died, poor fellow, I suppose.
Heaven above only knows. As soon as I could get leave from my employers, I hurried back to England, but no trace could I find of my brother or my child. 3 months I wasted in a fruitless search, when there came a letter from India, warning me that my post would be filled up, unless I returned immediately. There was no help for it, so I placed the matter in the hands of a detective, and quitted England once more.
And what did the detective discover?
Nothing. Detectives never do. Meanwhile, fortune still favoured me in India. I became a partner in my firm and made money. As soon as possible, I sold my share in the business, and here I am. I am not yet an old man. I have health and strength. I am rich and childless.
Sits right of table. There is the sound of an air played softly upon the piano from hotel left. Joslyn rises and goes up left, looking into hotel.
Florence playing. How pretty she looks this morning.
After a pause, he comes down right centre.
You are still searching for your missing brother and child, Mr. Mable.
Mable takes his arm.
That is now the one object of my life. I have scoured London, Paris, Brussels. Whenever I hear of one bearing my name, to that spot I bend my steps.
And what takes you to London now?
Mable rises.
The news that at a boarding school in the suburbs there is a Florence Mable, a girl of the age of my child. I cling to the slenderest reed. Very likely this journey will end as all my other journeys have ended in bitter disappointment. Still, I wander on, never resting till I find her.
Business of pocket-book and pipe. The piano ceases. Joslyn puts his hand onto Mabel's shoulder.
I hope from the bottom of my heart, Mr. Mable, you will be successful.
Sir, I know I shall be. If my child is on earth, one day I will meet her. If she is in heaven, some day she will come to meet me.
Florence runs on out of hotel and pauses upstage right centre. She is very pretty, dressed lightly. Florence, in an undertone to Joslyn.
Joslyn!
Joslyn turns up sharply and, unperceived by Mable, seizes her hand.
My dear Florence.
The waiter told me you were here. In another moment I should have come on the bridge to look for you.
Seeing Mable.
Who is that?
A friend of mine. Such a good old fellow.
Coming down centre.
Mr. Mable, let me introduce you to Miss Walkinshaw, who is staying in this hotel with her father.
Florence comes down right. Mable bows.
Miss Walkinshaw's name is Florence.
Mable, crossing to Florence.
Every Florence is dear to me, Miss Walkinshaw. It is my daughter's name.
Mable crosses to Joslyn, laying his hand kindly on Joslyn's shoulder.
Ah, my boy, there's another friend in Dinant you haven't told me about.
Joslyn hangs his head.
No wonder you leave our hotel so very early in the morning. I am sure you can spare me, so I'll get my baggage down to the station at once.
Leadenhall strolls on, through gate, and over to left centre.
Oh, I say, what about that pool, Hammersmith?
Joslyn, going to him.
I shall have to ask you to let me off, Leadenhall.
Oh, that is beastly of you, old chappie.
They talk together, upstage, left centre. Mable crosses to Florence.
Goodbye, Miss Walkinshaw. May I say Florence? It is a very sweet name to me.
Florence, holding out her hand.
Yes, oh yes.
Mable, taking her hand.
Goodbye, Florence. No, not goodbye. I think it very likely that we shall meet in London.
Why?
Mable, smiling and looking round at Joslyn.
Because I am going to be an occasional visitor at the house of Lady Hammersmith.
Florence, taking away her hand.
Oh, Mr. Mable.
Mable goes up centre. Joslyn, turning and going to Mable and calling to him.
Lord Leadenhall would like to be your travelling companion back to London, Mr. Mable.
I shall be delighted. We shall meet at dinner, Joslyn.
Oh, certainly.
Mable goes through gates and off right.
I'll send my portmanteau down to the station at once.
Taking Joslyn's arm.
Do come and play the game of 100 up.
No, I can't.
Releasing himself.
50 then, only 50. You've nothing to do, old chappie.
Florence comes out from tree. Catches sight of Florence.
Oh, beg pardon. I didn't see Miss Walkinshaw. How rude she must think me. I'm so awfully short-sighted, isn't it beastly?
He goes off rapidly into hotel. Joslyn crosses to Florence.
Lord Leadenhall says you are going away from Dinan.
Yes, tomorrow to Spa. Will Dinan be rather dull to you when we are gone?
I don't know. I shan't be here to find out.
You are going home to your mother, I suppose?
No, I am journeying to Spa too.
Getting slowly to her chair.
I'm so glad. I mean, why are you going to Spa?
Joslyn, taking her hand.
Because I can't. I won't be far away from you.
Walkinshaw is heard calling from the hotel.
Florence? Florence? Flo? Flo?
Florence crosses to hotel.
There's Papa. All right, Papa.
To Joslyn.
Tell me quickly, why won't you let me out of your sight?
Because I can see nothing but you when you're away. I'm quite blind.
But you've known me only a few days.
It takes only a few seconds to fall in love.
But Joslyn, are you quite sure you are in love with Papa too?
Joslyn, embarrassed.
That's rather a difficult question to answer.
You see, dear, I'm sure Papa will never consent to my marrying anybody he could not love as his own child, and who would not be devoted to him in return. He has said so 100 times.
I hope I shall never fail in proper respect to him, but at present I know so little of your father.
Ah, Joslyn, you had better let us go to Spa alone. Papa's a little peculiar, but my first duty is to him, and I have promised to make his comfort my constant thought.
Sits in chair right of left table. Walkinshaw, from within.
Florence. Flo. Flo. Flo.
Joslyn leaves Florence and looks in at hotel window. Joslyn to himself.
There he is at breakfast. How utterly selfish and unfeeling he looks.
Returning to Florence.
Florence, if I tell you that I will always love you very dearly, that I will be faithful and tender to you, and that I will help you to keep your promise to your father, will you marry me?
Florence rises and crosses to right. Joslyn follows her.
Yes, 100 times yes. Do you think Papa will consent?
Joslyn, aside.
Papa.
To Florence.
Leave that to me, dear.
Looking into her face.
Of what are you thinking?
Florence, looking up to him.
I'm thinking I've had such a hard, bitter time ever since I can remember that I wonder there is anything left in my nature worth your loving.
Putting her arms around him.
Thank you for believing in me, dear.
As they are embracing, the Chevalier comes out of the hotel. He is a shriveled-up yellow gentleman with a grand air and half-foreign appearance. Dyed moustache, curled up, and whiskers, etc. His garments are seedy. He wears a soiled jacket and hat.
Florence.
The lovers separate.
Florence, I'm shocked. Mr. Hammersmith, I'll speak to you presently. Florence, come here.
Florence advances, and Joslyn crosses right, sits left centre.
The word disgust doesn't sufficiently express my sentiments. I have lived to see my child kissing a young man in broad daylight. It is quite time you buried me.
Florence, laying her hand on his sleeve.
Oh, Papa, don't. When you know.
Don't touch me, don't touch me.
Wiping her touch from his sleeve with an old silk handkerchief. Discovering a hole in the sleeve.
By the by, there is a hole in the sleeve of my coat, gift of the celebrated Boulanger. See that you repair it before you retire to rest. My own flesh and blood kissing other flesh and blood in broad daylight. Ugh!
Covering his face with handkerchief.
Joslyn, explain to Papa.
Pray, sir, don't distress yourself. Let me tell you.
Walkinshaw, raising his head.
It would have been bad enough, sir, in the dark. behind a door, but under the broad heavens. Oh, heavens! Florence, leave us. Go, go, go. Read some good book, or see if some of my gloves want stitching.
Yes, Papa.
You see, sir, what an obedient, domesticated girl you have wronged.
Joslyn, aside to Florence.
Don't go far away, Florence, dear. I can explain everything in 5 minutes.
Florence goes to hotel entrance. Joslyn and she kiss their hands to each other. Walkinshaw, hearing the sound, looks up.
What, again?
Discovering his mistake.
Oh.
Florence goes into hotel.
Now, sir.
Now, sir.
Mr. Hammersmith, unfortunately the days of duelling are extinct, or you would suffer for the blow you have dealt a man old enough to be your elder brother. You have snatched at the brightest jewel in a doting father's crown.
Hammersmith takes a cigar case.
You have... I'll trouble you for a cigar, Mr. Hammersmith. Your last, pardon me. 1 moment, if you please.
He takes a cigar from Hammersmith's case and lights it. Joslyn, aside.
How is it possible for such a man to be the father of such a daughter?
My reproof, young man, will not be so confoundedly mild as this weed. Not to waste time in idle prevarication, in other words, not to curdle the cream of this lovely morning. What the devil do you mean?
Simply this, Mr. Walkinshaw.
Chevalier, if you please, young man. I was not aware that my distinguished services to the late Empire of France had been so forgotten. I haven't forgotten them.
I beg your pardon. I had not heard.
Not heard? Not heard? I blush to have even alluded to my exploits. It would ill become me to recount them. The trumpet of my fame is at the world's mouth. I say to the world, blow it. Proceed, sir.
Chevalier, I will conceal nothing from you. I admire your daughter.
Sir, the world admires my daughter, but I have not yet discovered the world in the act of kissing my daughter under the broad heavens.
Joslyn stands with hands on chair.
If I had, I should have felt inclined to have slapped the world's face.
But the world hasn't asked your daughter's hand in marriage, and been happy enough to win her consent. Chevalier, I love Florence.
Walkinshaw rises and goes to Joslyn.
You love my child? You have the courage to look me in the face and tell me you love my flesh and blood?
I love your daughter. That is a nicer way of putting it. Yes, sir.
Who are you, sir? What is your family? Did they come over with the Conqueror? Did they fight at Hastings?
An uncle of mine once fought at Brighton at an Easter Monday review. That is the only military achievement in our history. My father is dead. He was an alderman of the City of London and a tea dealer.
A tea dealer? Oh, shame. Shame.
He sinks into chair.
Don't spare me. Don't spare me. Proceed. What did he die worth?
£40,000.
£40,000?
Yes, sir.
£40,000, young man, cannot buy pure blood and long descent. Did you sell the business?
My mother did.
What? Is the old woman alive?
Sir.
I say, sir, is your poor, dear mother still living?
Yes, I am happy to say.
Do your duty to her, sir, and you will die happy. What did it fetch?
What did what fetch?
It. The tea business.
£3,500.
£43,500. Oh, money, money! You fall in strange places. Thank heaven I never bid for thee with offerings of fragrant souchong or simple couron. Would your mother consent to the marriage?
My mother would do anything to promote my happiness.
Be kind to her, sir. Obey her lightest wish, the glance of her eye, the whisper of her voice. Remember, a man can never have more than one mother, and she oughtn't to live in the house after he's married. Go, sir, fetch my child.
Do I understand, then, sir, that you consent?
The daughter of the Chevalier Walkinshaw, and the son of a tea dealer. The arms of the Walkinshaws crossed with a pair of scales and a pig-tailed Chinaman. Motto, given away with a pound of tea. Go, sir, fetch my child. My heart is broken.
Chevalier, I'm the happiest man in the world.
Joslyn goes quickly into the hotel. Walkinshaw, looking after him.
If you're not, I am Mr. Hammersmith at last. The very son-in-law I could have wished for.
Rising.
Rich and mild like a good Stilton, at last I am in clover. I shall ride in his carriage, smoke his cigars, drink his wine. My daughter married. My daughter. I always knew I should make money out of her. I mean, I knew I should be rewarded for my tender loving care. And now I am going up in the world, up like a rocket above the clouds, above the stars.
He cuts capers in ecstasy as Lord Leadenhall comes out of the hotel. Leadenhall, pausing, centre.
Hello, what's the matter with the Chevalier?
Walkinshaw pulls himself together in confusion.
Ah, my dear Lord Leadenhall, you see me in spirits.
Leadenhall, aside.
Rather earlier in the day than usual.
Yes, I am exultant, triumphant. I have conquered man's greatest enemy, himself. Yes, sir, I have made a great, almost a noble sacrifice. I have stifled my parental yearnings and consented to the marriage of my daughter to Mr. Joslyn Hammersmith.
Congratulate you.
Aside.
Poor Hammersmith. What a father-in-law.
To Walkinshaw.
By the way, I'm going away this evening. You couldn't let me have that £20 before I start, could you?
£20? What? Haven't you had it?
No.
Now you're really joking. You have not had that £20?
No.
I instructed the landlord to pay you yesterday and charge me in the bill. It must have slipped his memory. People are so forgetful about money matters. It shall be set right, Lord Leadenhall, immediately.
Clement and Georgette, a buxom waiting woman, come out of the hotel carrying Leadenhall's luggage. Clement with hat-box and rugs, Georgette with a portmanteau.
To the railway station, milord?
Yes.
Seeing Georgette.
But can't you get a man to help you?
Pardon, milord. All the men are to the déjeuner?
Oh, confound it. I can't let a woman carry my boxes. What a beastly shame.
Takes box from Georgette.
Allow me.
No, no, milord.
Oh, but I insist.
Oh, merci. Merci, milord.
Look alive, waiter.
Leadenhall follows Clement through gates off left. Georgette goes to table left centre. Walkinshaw surveys her admiringly. Walkinshaw, aside.
Nice little body, that Georgette. Pity I'm in dishabille. Georgette?
Oui, Chevalier?
Coming to him.
Georgette, you're the prettiest girl in Dinant. Upon my word you are.
Georgette, curtsying.
Oh, Chevalier.
I am leaving for London soon, Georgette. We may never see each other any more, Georgette.
Georgette puts out her hand as if for money. Chevalier takes it.
Yes, Georgette, my only child is about to desert me. I shall be alone in the world. Quite alone. Give me a kiss, Georgette.
Walkinshaw kisses Georgette as Joslyn and Florence enter from hotel.
Oh, Papa, how can you?
Georgette runs round at back into hotel. Walkinshaw pacing up and down, discomfited.
Don't speak to me. Don't speak to me. My mind is disturbed. I am not responsible for my actions.
Papa, I'm ashamed of you.
Walkinshaw pausing.
You presume to lecture your father?
You were kissing Georgette.
Less than 20 minutes ago, I caught you kissing Mr. Hammersmith. Are the young to absorb the delights of life? Oh, selfish, selfish.
He sits upstage right centre. Florence sits right of table, left centre.
Chevalier, I have told Florence of the favourable light in which you are inclined to regard me.
We came to thank you, Papa, but we didn't expect to find...
You didn't expect to find me distracted with grief at the thought of losing the flower I had reared so tenderly.
Oh, Papa!
Mr. Hammersmith, I resign possession of all that makes life tolerable to me. You shall accompany us to Spa tomorrow. We will dip into its gaieties for a few days, and then move on by easy stages to London, where you shall present me to your honoured mother. In short, Mr. Hammersmith, I consent to your marriage with my child on one condition.
What is that, sir?
It is this, sir, that in wedding my daughter you accept as a solemn charge the welfare of my declining years. Yes, sir, it will be your proud privilege to love me, to honour me, to comfort and keep me in sickness and health.
Rises.
On my part, you may rely on my advice, guidance, and counsel in all things.
Taking Joslyn's hand.
I will stick to you, Joslyn, through thick and thin. If I have any preference, it is for the thick, but I will stick to you, Joslyn.
I am very much obliged to you, Chevalier.
You are quite welcome, Joslyn.
Joslyn, looking at Florence.
I could wish Florence a better husband, but I couldn't wish myself a better wife.
Walkinshaw, inquiringly.
And your father-in-law?
Men should never pay compliments to men, Chevalier.
Clement enters through gates and goes to clear table left centre. Walkinshaw, embracing Florence.
At length I am rewarded for my devotion to my child.
Oh, Papa, I'm so happy.
It is early in the day, but we will drink champagne to our good fortune. One sip, just one little sip. Clement?
Yes, Chevalier?
Mr. Hammersmith orders a magnum of pomedy immediately.
Yes, Chevalier.
Clement goes out. Joslyn crosses to Florence right centre as Leadenhall enters at back from left through gates and comes down left centre. Walkinshaw, slapping him on the back.
Ah, my dear Lord Leadenhall, you are just in time to drink to my dear girl's happiness.
Very pleased, I'm sure. Miss Walkinshaw, Hammersmith, warmest congratulations.
Thanks, Leadenhall.
Thank you, Lord Leadenhall.
By the by, has the landlord paid you that £20?
No.
I'm very angry with him.
Music.
Joslyn?
Yes?
I've mislaid my pocket-book.
Shows pocket-book to audience.
You haven't such a thing as 500 francs about you.
Joslyn, taking out pocket-book.
Would English notes do?
Perfectly, dear boy, perfectly. A 20 or 2 10s. It's immaterial in what way good is done.
2 10s?
Walkinshaw takes notes.
Remind me of this if it should slip my memory. There you are, my dear Lord Leadenville. 2 10s are 20.
Gives notes.
God bless you, my boy, God bless you. When in town, look me up.
Turning to Joslyn.
By the way, Joslyn, where does your dear mother reside?
My mother? 90 Portman Square. Why?
Walkinshaw to Leadenhall.
Number 90 Portman Square is my address for the future. Come often. Delighted to see you always.
Shaking Leadenhall warmly by the hand. Clement and Georgette enter with champagne and glasses as the curtain falls. End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Rocket by Arthur Wing PINERO. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 2. Mid-air. Scene. Room in Lady Hammersmith's house, Portman Square. Up stage centre at back. Window looking out into square. Upstage left, door, passage backing. Upstage right, opening, showing conservatory with plants, flowers, etc. Downstage right, door, passage backing. Downstage left, fireplace with lighted fire. Left centre, a sofa. Right centre, an ottoman. Upstage centre, a writing table and chair, waste paper basket, etc. Other articles of furniture to fill spaces, pictures, flowers, ornaments, etc., etc. Everything rich and tasteful. Music at rise of curtain. Joslyn is discovered sitting at back, smoking cigar and looking moodily into fire. Bingle, a servant, comes out of the conservatory and crosses to door left.
Bingle?
Yes, Mr. Joslyn.
Where is my mother? Do you know?
In the library, Mr. Joslyn.
Say I'm here, will you?
Yes, Mr. Joslyn.
Bingle turns and goes out, door right. Joslyn, to himself.
Confound it. I wish I could find courage to put my foot down once and for all. But for Florence's sake I would too. I always knew that my papa-in-law, that is to be, would make life pretty hard for me. But to think that my dear old mother can make such a simpleton of herself. Poor mother. It is my fault for bringing the old vagabond into the house.
Lady Hammersmith enters right. Lady Hammersmith is a woman of about 50, dressed in a juvenile fashion, showy, made up, dyed hair, etc. Lady Hammersmith, with a simper.
Do you want me, my child?
Joslyn, rising.
Yes, mother, if you can spare me 5 minutes.
Good gracious, the child is smoking. You naughty boy.
Joslyn, throwing cigar away.
I beg pardon. I forgot where I was. Sit here, mother.
She crosses and sits languidly on sofa.
To remind you that I am not quite a child is one of my objects in asking you to see me.
Ah, I know. I suppose you will be a man very soon. I was married so young.
I am already old enough to be going to be married myself, mother.
Turns, crosses to right, and sits on ottoman.
And I am old enough to presume to offer you very serious advice.
Your advice. A bit of a boy's advice.
A bit of a boy's advice on a subject of importance to both of us.
Looking at his watch.
If you let me, I'll get it over now. Florence will be here soon. It's near her time.
Florence?
Bashfully.
And the Chevalier?
He is to return to town today.
Aside.
Deuce take him.
So he tells me in his letter. He has been staying at the house of a friend of his, enjoying some early shooting.
He has been staying at the house of a friend of mine. The Chevalier has an unpleasant habit of inviting himself to my friends' houses.
He is so popular, so charming, such an air, such a voice. He is perfect.
Joslyn rises and advances centre.
Yes, mother, he may be. A combination of every quality that is noble and attractive. But he must not be allowed to make you ridiculous in the eyes of your friends and the world by encouraging you in the belief that it is the duty of a woman of 50 to take a second husband.
Lady Hammersmith, rising.
Joslyn, 50?
50, mother. You know you're 50 if you're a day.
Joslyn, if I die tomorrow and you put 50 on my tombstone, I'll be a ghost.
Depend upon it, mother, I shall tell the truth upon your tombstone as I do now, though I hope it may be many years before my veracity is put to the test.
Lady Hammersmith crosses to ottoman and sits hysterically. Joslyn crosses to her.
Besides, mother dear, what if you are 50?
Oh!
Or 60, mother.
Oh!
A woman is like port wine. The older she grows, the more, what's the word, not crusty?
Joslyn.
I beg pardon, mother. The more precious, that's it, the more precious she becomes, and more honour to a woman if she keeps a young heart in her old age. But to encourage the attentions of such a man as that Walkinshaw.
Goes to fireplace. Lady Hammersmith, rising.
Such a man? What have you to say against the Chevalier? You discovered him. You brought him here to me, to my house. You allowed him and his daughter to be my guests for a fortnight, and afterwards placed them in lodgings within half a mile of this house. Be careful, Joslyn. You are dependent on me for every penny you spend, now and in the future. And as true as I'm your mother, if the Chevalier isn't the high-minded gentleman I take him to be, you shan't marry his daughter. Now, what have you to say against the Chevalier?
Rises and goes up to desk. Joslyn follows her. Joslyn, aside.
Here's a devil of a mess. I can't tell her what I think of him.
To Lady Hammersmith.
My dear mother, don't excite yourself unnecessarily. When I say such a man as the Chevalier, I mean such a frivolous old gentleman.
He's not frivolous. He has addressed the most beautiful poetry to me, of his own composition.
Poetry? If you're so unwise as to marry again, surely some sedate, well-balanced...
Some man old enough to be my father. May and December. Look at my friend, Rosaline Fabriquette.
Thanks, I'd rather not. A giddy Frenchwoman.
A light-hearted young widow? My case exactly. 3 weeks ago, Rosaline happened to call upon me when Lord Leadenhall, a perfect infant, was here. Leadenhall fell head over heels in love with her, and this morning I have had a letter from her to say she is going to bring him here for my congratulations. They're positively engaged to be married.
Joslyn, rising.
Good gracious! Leadenhall must be mad. When are they to call?
Bingle enters door left.
Lord Leadenhall and Madame Fabriquette.
Lady Hammersmith, rising.
There's your answer.
Joslyn goes upstage. Lady Hammersmith advances to meet Rosaline and Leadenhall. Rosaline is a fashionably dressed French woman of about 35, speaking with a slight French accent. Leadenhall is helplessly carrying a little white dog, parasol, and 2 or 3 small parcels. Rosaline, kissing Lady Hammersmith on both cheeks.
Oh, my dear Matilda.
How good of you to call. How do you do, Lord Leadenhall?
Shaking hands.
Thanks, I'm beastly fit.
Crossing to Joslyn, right centre.
Ah, Hammersmith.
Joslyn bows to Rosaline and shakes hands with Leadenhall.
Glad to see you, Leadenhall.
Do sit down, Rosaline. My child and I were just talking about you.
Rosaline sits left centre, and Lady Hammersmith beside her, right.
Joslyn was so pleased to hear the news. He says he considers Lord Leadenhall the most fortunate of men.
Jocelyn is always so delightful.
To Leadenhall.
Adolphus!
What's the matter, Rosie?
You are squeezing the little dog.
'Pon my word, I'm not, Rosie.
Lady Hammersmith to Rosaline.
I am dying to hear all about it.
Lady Hammersmith and Rosaline talk in whispers. Leadenhall to Joslyn.
I say, Hammersmith, are you fond of dogs?
Very.
I'm not. This one bit my leg last week. Isn't that beastly? I always carry it to please Rosaline, but it's a beastly beast.
They sit on ottoman right.
So you found the woman at last, Leadenhall?
Yes, old chappie, the very woman. Strangely enough, met her first in this house, when I was calling upon your mother. Look at her, ain't I lucky? Awful flare-up in the family, of course. My father would have it I'd better hang myself. My mother, who was present, said yes, or her. Now, isn't that beastly?
They stroll upstage. Rosaline to Lady Hammersmith.
Ah, yes, Adolphus is a very good fellow, and so fond of the little dog.
Of course I shall be present at the ceremony. You'll look divine in pearl grey. And my dear Rosaline, what do you think? You'll never guess.
Tell me, my dear.
Lady Hammersmith, simpering and looking down.
Oh, I don't like to.
Come, come. We are old friends.
Well, what do you say when I tell you there is some probability of my very soon following your example?
Marrying again?
Hush. It's a disagreeable subject with Joslyn.
Bashfully.
Yes, marrying again.
Oh, my charming Matilda.
The 2 ladies kiss again effusively. Lady Hammersmith to Joslyn.
Joslyn, wouldn't Lord Leadenhall like a cigarette in the billiard room?
Joslyn, rising.
Yes, that he would. Come along, Leadenhall.
Rosaline rises and crosses.
Adolphus, take care of the little dog.
Wouldn't hurt him for the world, Rosie, upon my soul.
Joslyn goes out, is followed by Leadenhall, right door. A squeal is heard. Rosaline rises in dismay. Leadenhall puts his head in door.
It's all right. Tail caught in doorway. Shan't occur again.
He disappears. Rosaline to Lady Hammersmith.
Oh, his poor little tail. Forgive me, dear, but I am so anxious about my pet.
Sits on ottoman right. Lady Hammersmith rises and crosses to her.
And so am I about mine. He's been away for the last 2 or 3 days shooting.
And who is the happy old gentleman?
Old gentleman? Old gentleman? The suitor for my hand is the Chevalier Walkinshaw. The Chevalier is mellow, nothing more.
The papa of Jocelyn's fiancée?
Yes, a widower. Such a dear, delightful, middle-aged man. You must meet him, Rosaline. Now that you're engaged to Leadenhall, there can be no danger. Not that the Chevalier has eyes for any woman but his Matilda.
Is he rich, dear?
Lady Hammersmith on sofa left.
He has estates in France, dear. though since the fall of the Empire he has never visited them, or even deigned to claim his rents. He is so noble, but he has money invested in English securities, he tells me, and he gives me such charming presents.
I long to see him. And when shall you make him happy?
Lady Hammersmith, looking down.
As soon as I can overcome my reserve and name the day. And how long is Leadenhall to wait?
Until I can get conclusive evidence of my husband's death.
Good gracious, Rosaline! You told me you smoothed your husband's dying pillow.
So I did, but he got up again after that and went out for a walk and never came back.
How many years ago is this?
5 or 6. He was an Englishman living abroad. He treated me badly and we hated each other, so after a few months' misery he disappeared altogether. I hope he is an angel, but I am not certain, and there is no way of finding out.
I wonder you still care to bear that wretch's name.
I don't. Fabriquette is my maiden name, and I want to forget I ever had another. But more than everything, I want to find out if this husband of mine is alive and kicking.
Rises and crosses to left.
Rosaline, how can you?
Well, dear, he was always kicking when he was alive.
She crosses right. Bingle enters.
A gentleman, my lady.
Who is it, Bingle?
Mr. Mable.
What's the matter?
Rosaline sinking on sofa.
Oh!
Lady Hammersmith runs to Rosaline.
Rosaline, you are ill.
Rosaline faintly.
Matilda.
Yes?
If I faint away, don't put any water on my face.
I won't, my darling.
Soothingly.
I wouldn't like it myself. Bingle, don't show him up here.
Rosaline, rising and crossing to Lady Hammersmith. Rousing herself.
Yes, do show him up here. I want to see him. I will see him.
Bingle, show Mr. Mable up here at once.
Goes to door left, then centre.
Yes, my lady.
Exit Bingle.
Rosaline, do you know this man?
That is what I want to find out. Let me see him. Matilda. Mable was the name of my husband.
Leadenhall is heard off.
Is this the way?
Straight on, the door before you.
Matilda, Adolphus Leadenhall does not suspect I may not be a free woman. Suppose this man proves to be my husband, what shall I do? Keep them apart. Keep them apart.
Oh!
As Lady Hammersmith runs to door to lock it, Leadenhall enters, followed by Joslyn.
I'm quite ready, Rosaline, if you want to finish your shopping.
Matilda!
Lady Hammersmith goes to Rosaline.
Yes, dear.
Keep the other man away till I can get rid of Adolphus.
As Lady Hammersmith goes to door left, Bingle announces.
Mr. Mable.
Mr. Mable enters. Rosaline, not looking at him, buries her face in her hands. Bingle goes out. Mable bows and shakes hands with Lady Hammersmith. There is a slight pause.
Mr. Mable, I've been expecting you to call to tell me the result of your search after your missing daughter.
How do you do, Mr. Mable? Here's your old travelling companion, Lord Leadenhall.
Mable shakes hands with the young men as Lady Hammersmith speaks to Rosaline.
Look at him, quick.
Rosaline removes her hands from her eyes and looks round.
Is that the man?
No, that is not the monster.
Sinking back, relieved.
Oh.
Mable, turning to Lady Hammersmith.
My visit to the boarding school at Highgate, Lady Hammersmith, resulted in such a heart-breaking disappointment that I've not had the courage to open my lips on the subject. even to so kind a friend as yourself.
Did you find the child who bears your name?
Oh, yes, but the Florence Mable there proved to be no belongings of mine. I never thought my name was so common till I began to search for my treasure.
Mr. Mable, this is an old friend of mine, Madame Fabriquette.
Mable and Rosaline bow.
Singularly enough, she once knew someone of your name in Paris.
In Paris?
Rosaline grips Lady Hammersmith's arm.
An acquaintance merely. 5 or 6 years ago. Wasn't it, Rosaline?
Lady Hammersmith crosses upstage to right centre. Joslyn and Leadenhall join her and stand talking. Mable comes to Rosaline.
Forgive me, madam, but I am most anxious to discover the whereabouts of my brother, of whom I lost all trace about the time Lady Hammersmith mentions. Can you help me by recalling the Christian name of the man you once knew in Paris?
It is so long ago, and I knew him so slightly.
As if trying to think.
No, I have no recollection.
Oh, pray try. Take time. Was his name Joshua Mable? Ah, you do remember?
Yes, I think. I am not certain, but I think that was his name.
Thank heaven, some real clue at last. Will you describe his appearance to me?
No, I forget.
A smooth-shaven face?
Rosaline, shuddering.
No, a moustache curled up and whiskers.
His appearance might have altered since we parted 17 years ago. Will you tell me where this man lived?
I do not know that. I never knew. You will not find him. He is dead for certain. Pray ask me nothing more.
She attempts to pass him. He stays her.
Only one question, but one. Did you ever hear of any child in whom he had an interest? A niece, my daughter, who was entrusted to his keeping.
No.
Did you never hear of his visiting any school in Paris, London, Brussels, anywhere? Think before you answer me.
No.
Oh.
Stay, I think I do remember.
Do remember?
Him going every 2 or 3 weeks to a pension kept by a Madame Mérion in the Rue Cambon in Paris, where he said he gave lessons to the pupils in English.
Mable, making notes.
A school in the Rue Cambon?
Yes, I pray you please ask me no more. I have told you all.
Thank you, madam, thank you. You have been a true friend to me. Joslyn, Lady Hammersmith.
Joslyn and Lady Hammersmith come down right centre.
I have news of my lost brother and child. This good lady has described a Joshua Mable she once knew in Paris. It must be he. Forgive my excitement. I must start off at once. Joslyn, pray let me have a railway guide if you have one.
I'll fetch a Bradshaw.
Joslyn goes off quickly, door right. Lady Hammersmith to Mable.
But surely you'll lunch with us before you go.
Thank you, Lady Hammersmith, but I shall neither eat nor rest till I am at my journey's end. Bless you for all your kindness to a solitary old man.
Joslyn re-enters with Bradshaw.
Here's a Bradshaw.
Lady Hammersmith joins Rosaline and Leadenhall upstage. Joslyn joins Mable down centre.
What do you want? My eyes are younger than yours.
Joslyn crosses and sits on sofa.
The next train to Dover.
Joslyn refers to Bradshaw.
I know the boat doesn't leave Dover till 10 o'clock tonight, but I shall be calmer when I'm out of London. If I feel faint, I can get something to eat at the Lord Gordon.
Here you are. Trains from Victoria. 12:45. You can't catch that.
Mable, referring to his watch.
Yes, I can just do it.
Shaking Joslyn by the hand.
Goodbye, my boy. Wish me luck.
He goes up to the group at back. Joslyn goes left centre, throwing Bradshaw on the sofa.
Goodbye, Lady Hammersmith. I trust I shall return a happier man. Madame Fabriquette, if I do find my brother, I shall owe everything to you.
Rosaline bows. Rosaline, aside, biting her lip.
And I shall owe something to you.
Leadenhall, advancing to Mable, right centre.
Goodbye, Mr. Mable. I hope you'll be successful this time. Must be very beastly always to be looking for something and never finding it. It worried me when I was looking for a woman after my own heart. I've found her now.
Rosaline, aside.
Yes, or lost her.
I congratulate you. Goodbye.
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 Mable goes towards door when Bingle enters.
Miss Walkinshaw.
Florence enters.
Florence, dear. You met Mr. Mable at Dinan, I think you told me.
Florence, shaking hands with Mable.
Oh, yes.
Yes, when Mr. Mable prophesied that he should meet Florence in Portman Square.
Florence, gently.
Have you found your Florence yet?
No,
Taking her hand.
but I think I'm red hot, as the children say.
When we next meet, I hope you will have regained your daughter.
Mable, patting her hand.
And when I do find her, I hope she may not be very unlike you, my child. Goodbye.
Mable goes out, followed by Bingle. Joslyn comes to Florence on her left. Lady Hammersmith on Florence's right.
You met Lord Leadenhall at Dinan, too.
Leadenhall, bowing.
How do you do, Miss Walkinshaw?
Lady Hammersmith, pointing to Rosaline.
And this is Madame Fabriquette, a very dear friend of mine.
Rosaline bows to Florence. Leadenhall joins her. To Florence.
And tell me, when do you expect the dear Chevalier?
Joslyn turns away impatiently.
Oh, Papa travelled from Scotland last night.
Lady Hammersmith, languishingly.
Is he in London?
Yes, and will follow me here almost immediately.
How delightful!
Joslyn, aside.
Confound him.
Florence and Joslyn come down left and sit on couch.
Rosaline, you and Lord Leadenhall must meet my very dear friend, the Chevalier. I insist on your both lunching here. I know the Chevalier will stay to lunch. He always does.
We shall be very pleased.
Delighted.
At what time is luncheon?
1:30.
Then Adolphus can drive me into Regent Street, for we have not finished all our shopping.
Crossing to door left.
Adolphus, have you all the parcels?
I think so, Rosie.
Up to door left.
And Adolphus, you are not squeezing the little dog.
Oh, no, Rosie.
1:30 punctually. The Chevalier can't bear waiting.
Very well. Au revoir, good people. Come along, Adolphus.
Yes, Rosie.
Rosaline goes out, door left, followed by Leadenhall.
Poor dear Rosaline. How charming she still is, though she does begin to age terribly. At one time we used to be taken for sisters.
Crossing to door right.
I must tidy myself before the Chevalier comes. Amuse yourselves, children, while I'm gone. I shall be back soon.
She goes out, door right. Joslyn and Florence rise and come down centre.
Thank goodness we are left alone for a few moments.
They kiss.
Another.
They kiss again.
You look awfully worried today, Joslyn.
It's nothing, darling. Perhaps it was through being obliged to trot out my company manners when I'm longing to talk to you.
Puts his arm round her. She breaks from him, and they sit on ottoman.
Flo, please me by having luncheon in your hat, so that we can get out the moment it's over.
Yes, Do you know, dear, I'm afraid you and Papa have not got on very well together lately.
Oh, pray don't think that, pet.
I can't help it. Joslyn, are you quite certain you understand Papa?
Joslyn, drawing a long breath.
Yes, dear. Quite certain.
Bingle enters, door left.
The Chevalier Walkinshaw.
Florence and Joslyn rise.
Here is Papa.
Walkinshaw enters with a cough of importance. He is much changed. Plumper, rosier, and expensively, if rather extravagantly dressed.
Ah, my dear Joslyn. Don't go, Bingle, don't go. Joslyn!
Joslyn goes to him, in an undertone.
I've no change. Give Bingle a shilling for my cab fare.
Joslyn bites his lip, gives money to Bingle. Bingle goes off left.
Ah, Florence, my child, you must have walked quicker than I rode. Riding is more a luxury than a necessity, but in the days of the Empire I had my own carriages. Is the old lady in?
Pulling himself together.
Is Lady Hammersmith at home?
Lady Hammersmith enters, door right.
My dear Lady Hammersmith.
Chevalier.
They meet centre. Walkinshaw kisses her hand.
The sky has been overcast since I left London. Why is it? Why is it that the sun seems to shine upon me only in Portman Square?
Spouting.
I've travelled east, I've travelled west, I've travelled everywhere, but there's one spot I love the best, that spot in Portman Square.
Oh.
In other climes I've sought delight, but darkness veils the skies, for nowhere is the sun so bright as in Matilda's eyes.
Walkinshaw leads Lady Hammersmith to sofa, where they sit. Florence, with a stamp of impatience, rises and joins Joslyn upstage by writing table.
A few lines composed during my journey from Scotland.
Ought I to allow you to call me Matilda?
Would you curb the poet's license?
Florence to Joslyn.
I wish Papa wouldn't be so silly. Even I don't like Papa's poetry. Oh, Joslyn, how angry you look.
Walkinshaw produces a small jewel case containing bracelet. To Lady Hammersmith.
My dear Lady Hammersmith, accept this to remind you of my sufferings during our separation.
Lady Hammersmith, opening case.
Ah, what a lovely bracelet. Florence, Joslyn, look here.
Florence and Joslyn come down.
Look at the beautiful bracelet the Chevalier has given me.
It is indeed beautiful, Lady Hammersmith.
Chevalier, you are too lavish.
Walkinshaw, seeing Joslyn at his right.
Joslyn, my boy, a word with you.
He rises, takes Joslyn's arm, and leads him to the ottoman right. Florence sits by Lady Hammersmith.
Joslyn, during the last few days my expenses have been, shall I say, stiffish? I will.
Referring to memorandum on his shirt cuffs.
I have made a memorandum. Journey and expenses to Scotland, £13. Week's board and lodging, a light week, my being away, £6. What's this? £35? Rather a large item. Partly rubbed out.
Reading.
Bait for old girl.
Sir?
A bracelet for Lady Hammersmith, £35. Total, £54. Make it 60, my boy, and it'll put me through this week.
Joslyn, in an undertone.
How long do you expect me to bear this?
To bear what?
This imposition.
Imposition? Take care, sir. Imposition. I can produce vouchers for these amounts.
I don't deny that. But why am I to pay them?
You don't pay them. The old lady pays them. Lady Hammersmith pays them.
My mother makes me a handsome allowance, it's true, but she doesn't know she is paying your bills.
Then so much the better for her. But what's all this fuss about?
£35 for a bracelet.
Hush. I tell you, it's cheap. It'll melt down for the money. Damn it. You've got it in the family. What more do you want?
I want you to understand that you don't swindle my mother any longer.
Swindle?
Buttoning up his coat.
Swindle? You have said enough. My daughter and I leave London tomorrow.
Chevalier.
Yes, sir. If these slight pecuniary advances, which it should be your pride as well as pleasure to make, are in your opinion extorted by a swindler, I will take precious good care you don't marry the swindler's daughter.
Rises.
Stop a minute. I may have been a little hasty.
Yes, sir, you have.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Goes upstage to writing table. Walkinshaw, aside.
Mean beggar. The girl's too good for him.
Joslyn, upstage.
Mother, I want to speak to you.
Lady Hammersmith goes to Joslyn, passing Walkinshaw with a smirk. Walkinshaw joins Florence on sofa. Joslyn, upstage, to Lady Hammersmith.
I've been a little extravagant lately, Mother. I hardly know how the money goes. Can you spare me a cheque today?
Lady Hammersmith, sitting at desk.
For how much, child?
Well, Mother, I thought about £60.
£60? Joslyn!
I'll not trouble you again for a long time if I can help it.
Lady Hammersmith writes cheque and gives it to Joslyn. Walkinshaw, on sofa, to Florence.
Now you're looking dull, Flo. Flo, you're looking dull. If you knew how your poor dad lived on your smiles. Isn't Joslyn kind to you?
Joslyn is too good.
Then you're jealous about the bracelet. You shall have one next week.
No, father, no.
You shall. I'll spoil you. That I will.
Pinching her cheek.
You shall have one with your dad's name cut in it.
No, I won't take it.
My poppet shall have a bracelet. I'll tell Joslyn to give you one.
Lady Hammersmith, upstage.
Florence, dear, will you help me cut some flowers for the luncheon table?
Yes, dear Lady Hammersmith.
Florence rises and goes off with Lady Hammersmith into conservatory. Joslyn comes down to Walkinshaw, thrusting cheque under the nose of Walkinshaw, who is thinking.
Take that.
Walkinshaw, starting.
Eh?
Taking cheque.
Oh.
To himself.
Thought he'd struck me.
Looking at cheque.
60. The bare sum, mean beggar. The girl's too good for him.
To Joslyn.
Thank you. We are friends again, I suppose? I forgive you. I freely forgive you.
And now just one word. You take my money. You live upon me, because you know how dearly I love your daughter Florence. Very well. To that I submit. I cannot help myself, for if I refuse to maintain you, you would take Florence from me, and she is all the world to me. But I will not allow you to persist in your absurd attentions to my mother.
Walkinshaw, rising.
Allow me to say, sir.
No, at any cost I will prevent it.
Then let me tell you.
Lady Hammersmith enters from conservatory.
Politics again, I suppose. You two will never agree.
Joslyn, to Walkinshaw.
Shh.
No, sir, I shall not shh. I decline to Let me tell you, young man, that it would be more to your credit, sir, if you were as tenderly and devotedly attached to your mother as I am. I, sir, adore Lady Hammersmith.
Lady Hammersmith, coming down centre.
Oh, Chevalier.
Volcanoes may lie dormant. They are not extinct. The heart of the Chevalier Walkinshaw is a volcano. Beware the eruption. Beware the eruption.
Florence, unperceived, appears in conservatory.
Mother, one word from you will put an end to the attentions which this gentleman pays you. I insist upon your speaking that word.
Really, Joslyn? Are you to settle my love affairs, or am I?
I forbid this folly. My mother guided and protected me when I needed it.
Passes Lady Hammersmith to right.
I intend to repay her now. You think you hold me tightly by my love for Florence, but even I, with all my love, cannot sacrifice one woman for another. So if it must come to it, out you go.
Exit Florence.
You turn me out of Lady Hammersmith's house? I believe, sir, Lady Hammersmith is more than 21.
Oh!
Lady Hammersmith sinks on ottoman with a sob.
She's fainting.
Joslyn goes above ottoman, leaning over his mother. Walkinshaw to left of ottoman, waving Joslyn away.
I claim the privilege of restoring this lady to consciousness.
Stand away, sir.
I shall not. Nobody shall bite this lady's fingers but myself.
Take me away. Take me away.
Come, mother.
Raising her.
Lean on me.
Lean on me.
Lady Hammersmith leans heavily on Walkinshaw. He staggers.
Not quite so much. Hold up.
Oh, dear. I shall never hold up again.
Joslyn opens door right to Walkinshaw.
Mr. Walkinshaw, when I meet you alone, I shall kick you.
I shall make no appointment with you, sir, whatever. No appointment.
Joslyn and Walkinshaw assist Lady Hammersmith off right and go off with her. Florence comes into room from conservatory, looking after them.
Poor, poor Joslyn! Oh, what have I brought upon him? How foolish of Lady Hammersmith! But after all, she is but a woman, and like me, my father's victim. I have been blind, but I see everything now.
She goes to door right and closes it.
I cannot sacrifice one woman for another. No, Joslyn, and you shall not. I will tie your hands no longer, and you shall be free to teach my father the lesson he deserves.
She crosses to sofa.
But where shall I go? I have no one to turn to, no one.
She sits and listlessly takes up the railway guide which is still lying on the sofa.
I seem to have been all over the world without making one friend but the man I'm running away from.
Turning the pages.
London, Brussels, Paris. Would not good old Madame Merlion, my old schoolmistress in the Rue Cambon, help me? I was always a favourite with her. She might receive me kindly, advise me, perhaps employ me as a governess. If I sat here for an hour, I could think of no better plan. Yes, I'll go to Paris, to Madame Merlion.
She rises, with railway guide in her hand, and goes up to writing table.
Let me see. I can leave here this evening and sleep at Dover. I'll telegraph for some rooms at a hotel.
She sits hastily and writes.
To the manager, Lord Gordon Hotel, Dover. Stop.
She refers to timetable.
A boat crosses from Dover to Calais at 10 o'clock tonight. Why not travel to Dover at once? If I pause on my journey, I may get faint-hearted, and then... Oh, Joslyn, I won't send the telegram.
She scrunches the paper in her hand and throws it down. Coming down.
Where are the Dover trains?
Turning over the leaves.
One advantage of my old life, even Bradshaw can't puzzle me. Here they are, 12:45. Oh, that's gone. 2:30.
Looking at her watch.
1 o'clock now. I've time to run home, pack a few things, and be at Victoria's Station at 2:30. I shall reach Dover at 5 o'clock and can rest at the Lord Gordon if I'm tired.
She goes to door.
I'll write a few words of goodbye to Joslyn and send them by a messenger. Poor Joslyn.
Covering her face with her hands.
And poor me.
Joslyn heard without.
Take that!
Someone is coming. If that should be Joslyn.
She moves towards door left as Walkinshaw, much deranged, enters rapidly through door right, which he locks after him.
Father, what's the matter?
Walkinshaw in a frenzy.
Matter? I've been insulted, and I won't sit down under it.
He attempts to sit, but rises quickly.
I've been kicked, and I won't sit down on it. Where are you going, nuisance?
Florence, laying a hand on her heart.
I can't stay to luncheon. I'm going to our lodgings. I've got a pain here.
Have you? Well, so have I. I've got a pain everywhere. I'll have the law. I'll have everything I can lay my hands on. He shall smart for it. I'm smarting for it. Go away, you worry me.
Attempts to sit, but gets up quickly and kneels on ottoman. Florence at door left.
Goodbye, Father.
Looking round the room, faltering.
Goodbye, Joslyn. Goodbye.
She goes out. There is a knocking at door right. Walkinshaw starts and listens. Walkinshaw in a tremble.
What's that?
Knocking repeated.
He's after me, the villain. I'll teach him what's what. I'll teach him not to shake his fist in my face. I'll teach him not to wipe his boots on my clothes.
Knocking again, louder.
Is that you, Joslyn, my boy?
Lady Hammersmith outside door right.
No, it's Matilda.
Walkinshaw relieved.
Oh.
He unlocks door and admits Lady Hammersmith, who is in tears.
Oh, Chevalier, my dear Chevalier, that dreadful boy. I believe he actually kicked you.
Believe? I'll swear he actually did.
If you hadn't turned away at that moment, it wouldn't have happened.
Don't mention it, Matilda. It's a painful subject.
Goes to sit on the head of the sofa, but jumps up quickly as if hurt.
Oh, a nice way to train up a child.
Don't be angry with me. I'm sure I wish he'd never been born.
Sits on ottoman right.
You should have thought of that before. It's too late now. What are you going to do?
Lady Hammersmith, sitting on ottoman.
What can I do? Oh, Chevalier, pray advise me.
Matilda, listen to the dictates of a heart still fresh and young. Love on to the end.
Joslyn won't let me. I'm frightened of him.
Turn him out of the house.
He won't go.
Walkinshaw, leaning over her.
Matilda, I've a plan. Will you hear it?
How can I say no to you?
He bends over and whispers in her ear.
You tickle my ear so I can't understand you.
He whispers again. She starts up.
Elopement?
Why not? A romantic end to a romantic attachment. Of course, we can't help it getting into the papers.
Lady Hammersmith, eagerly.
Do you think it will get into the papers?
Of course. Romance in high life, flight of a young widow, and so on.
Oh, Chevalier, you are too daring. Give me a week to think.
A week? In a week your dutiful son will be locking you up in your own room and pushing thin, dry toast under your door to sustain your wretched existence.
When do you propose to take me?
Now, almost immediately.
But I've no companion. I can't go away alone.
Get somebody. Cook, housemaid, policeman, anybody.
Majestically.
That is, if you cannot trust yourself with me, Matilda.
Lady Hammersmith, sitting.
Where shall we fly to?
Let me decide that. Let me decide that.
Aside, tapping his forehead.
Where shall we fly to? Somewhere abroad. I'm not so afraid of the authorities abroad. In case of accident, Paris. Paris. Haven't been to Paris for 5 or 6 years. Not since I was last married. Nasty thoughts. Nasty thoughts. I wonder whether I really am a widower. Nasty thoughts, nasty thoughts. How they worry one.
He walks upstage to writing table, still thinking. Lady Hammersmith, on ottoman, to herself.
Who would go with me? Whom can I trust? I wonder whether Rosaline...
Rises and crosses to left and sits on sofa.
Rosaline. No one better. And she'll be here directly. I'll propose it.
Walkinshaw, coming down.
Matilda?
Dearest.
Sits on sofa left.
I've hit on a spot.
And I on a friend.
Walkinshaw, aside.
Hang the friend.
To Lady Hammersmith.
What do you say to Paris?
Paris. Lovely. The last time I visited Paris was with the poor alderman.
Walkinshaw, aside.
My predecessor.
The poor alderman and Mr. Cook. Now I'm going with you and...
Certainly not Mr. Cook, Matilda. Too many cooks spoil the broth. In Paris you will find my name still honoured by the adherents of the old empire. We can be married quietly at the little English church in the Avenue Marbouf.
Oh!
Pull yourself together, Matilda, and listen. We will cross the Channel tonight.
Tonight?
Walkinshaw, going up to writing table.
I'll telegraph to the manager of the Lord Gordon Hotel to prepare dinner.
He sits and writes rapidly.
From Walkinshaw to manager, Lord Gordon Hotel, Dover. Soup, salmon, chicken, champagne. Mum's the word.
Puts telegram in pocket.
I'll send this myself.
Seeing railway timetable, refers to it.
Dover trains, Dover trains. Leaves Victoria 4:20, reaches Dover before 7. Good.
Rising.
Matilda, be ready to leave this house at 3:30.
Taking cheque out of his pocket.
I'll call at my banker's and cash my cheque for £60 on our way to the station.
Lady Hammersmith, rising.
Oh, Chevalier, you are sure you will always estimate me at my true worth?
Matilda, in marrying you, I consider I am marrying a fortune.
Joslyn, outside, door right.
In the drawing-room? All right, I'll find her myself.
Joslyn, he's so violent. How shall we meet him?
How shall we meet him? We will think over that question downstairs, Matilda.
He goes off hastily, door left, with Lady Hammersmith. Joslyn enters quickly, door right.
Mother?
Looking round.
Where can she be, poor soul? I hope my temper hasn't frightened her.
He looks into the conservatory.
Not here. I'll go downstairs.
As he goes towards door left, Bingle enters, carrying a letter.
A messenger has just left this for you, Mr. Joslyn.
Joslyn, taking a letter.
Thank you.
Bingle goes out.
Florence's hand. Why, what can this mean?
He opens letter and reads.
Good heavens.
Sits on sofa, reading.
My dear Joslyn, I have discovered, I hope not too late, that my father is attempting to profit by our engagement in a manner which shocks and degrades me. In order that I may not cripple you in the discharge of your duty, I am about to quit England. My destination is a secret, and you are now as free to deal with my father as if you had never known your poor, unhappy Florence.
Rises.
Gone! What must she think of me to imagine that I would allow her to sacrifice herself in such a way? There is but one thing to do. Follow her at once.
Going to door.
Let me think. To what spot is it most likely she would turn her steps?
He sits thinking at writing table.
Where are her friends? She has none, poor child, that she has told me. Shut up in a Parisian boarding school till within 2 years ago, and then pushed about from pillar to post by her rascally father. Stop. I've often heard her mention the old proprietress of that same school in the Rue... Confound it, I forget the street.
Snatches up telegram and sits at desk.
Madame... confound it, I forget the name. It seems likely she would seek out this old woman now. And if she has started for Paris, will she travel by Newhaven, Dover, or Folkestone?
He catches sight of paper in his hand, unfolds it, and reads it.
What's this?
Reading.
Florence Walkinshaw to the manager, Lord Gordon Hotel, Dover. Nothing more.
Rising.
I am right so far. She has started for Paris. Dover was in her mind when she sat at this table, but she evidently changed it, or she would not have destroyed this telegram. Yes, Folkestone's the place. I'll follow her to Folkestone, and if she is not there, well, I can but push on to Dover after all. I'll throw a few things into my portmanteau and be off at once.
He goes out, door right, hastily. Directly he has gone, Lady Hammersmith enters door left.
Yes, Chevalier. Dear Chevalier.
She crosses to right centre.
As you say, nothing but the firmest treatment will succeed with our son. Our son, as he is to be.
Looking round and not seeing Walkinshaw, she goes left centre and calls.
Chevalier, make haste. Joslyn may be out. Chevalier.
Walkinshaw enters door left, rather pale and nervous.
Matilda? Is he here?
No. I think I saw him leave as we entered. Shall I send for him?
No, I'm not sure that a personal encounter would be advisable. It might, I don't say it would, but it might, disturb the future relationship of father and son. You see, Matilda, I am anxious that Joslyn should not see my temper. I very nearly lost my temper when he kicked me just now. Thank goodness I controlled myself sufficiently to enable me to withdraw from the room with dignity. Matilda, you had better begin to pack.
To pack?
Yes, Matilda, to pack. P-A-C-K.
Aside.
Stupid old girl.
To pack. You make me blush.
Going to door left.
I wish my friend would return so that I may shield myself in her arms.
Joslyn, outside, door right.
Bingle! Bingle, are you there?
Joslyn!
Walkinshaw, in a fright.
Matilda, control yourself. Do as I do.
He runs off into conservatory. Lady Hammersmith follows him as Joslyn enters door right, carrying a small bag. Joslyn, excitedly.
Bingle's never here when she's wanted.
Bingle enters door left.
Oh, there you are.
If you please, sir, Madame Fabriquette has come back.
Joslyn throws Bingle the bag.
Put that in a hansom.
Rosaline enters. Bingle goes out. Joslyn to Rosaline.
I'm so sorry that I'm obliged to go out. Will you ask my mother not to wait luncheon for me? My hat and coat.
Joslyn hurries out door right as Lady Hammersmith enters from conservatory. Lady Hammersmith, as she enters, seeing Rosaline.
Oh, my darling, how late you are! Where is Lord Leadenhall?
He permitted the little dog to slip on your doorstep, and he is now running after him all round the square.
I want to ask you a great favour before he returns.
Sits on ottoman.
I want you to be a real true friend and accompany me to Paris.
To Paris? When?
Today. This evening.
What for so soon?
Oh, I can't tell you.
Then how can I understand?
Well, then I am going to elope.
Rosaline rises and goes to centre.
Elope? Who are you going to run away with?
The dear Chevalier is going to run away with me. Joslyn has been so violent. And he says he won't allow the Chevalier to be madly in love with his mother. There was such a scene in the library. Joslyn fired a pistol several times.
A pistol?
Yes, dear. But the Chevalier, who never lost his nerve, bobbed down and escaped with a slight injury to the back. And so we are determined to run away and be married in Paris. And we want you, my dear, dear friend, to go with us. You will, won't you, dear?
Of course I will. That is, if you will permit Adolphus to go with us to take care of the little dog.
Certainly, my dear. The more the merrier at my wedding.
Besides, it will be a jolly holiday for me.
Lady Hammersmith, kissing Rosaline.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And you won't regret it when you make the acquaintance of the Chevalier.
Lady Hammersmith goes to conservatory and calls.
Chevalier, Chevalier, I want you. Here's the friend I spoke of. Make haste.
Comes right centre.
The dear man is in the conservatory, behind the palm trees. He is so anxious not to do my child an injury.
Naturally.
That is why he did not take the hatchet from him in the library.
The hatchet?
No, I mean the gun.
Walkinshaw enters from conservatory. Coming centre, sees Rosaline.
My wife! The devil!
Going right, sees Joslyn, who enters door right, turns back and rushes off door left. Knocks against Leadenhall, who has just entered, with dog. Rosaline goes down right, turns and looks after the Chevalier. Lady Hammersmith, centre, calling after the Chevalier.
Chevalier! Chevalier!
Music as the curtain descends quickly. End of Act 2. Act 3 of The Rocket by Arthur Wing Pinero. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Act 3. Coming down like a stick. Scene. Room in the Lord Gordon Hotel, Dover. Up the stage centre at back, a large open window, looking out onto balcony and marine view. Upstage right, a door. Upstage left, a door, below door left of fireplace. Armchair before fire, left centre. Upstage centre, table and 2 chairs right. Downstage, a sofa. Downstage left, a bell pull. Practical locks on both doors, important. Evening light. Music at rise of curtain. Mable is discovered on balcony. Chatwood laying white cloth.
I beg pardon, sir.
Louder, there being no response.
I beg pardon, sir.
Eh?
Mable turns and comes to entrance to room.
Do you want me?
Beg pardon, sir. What time will you dine?
What time is it now?
Chatwood, referring to clock on mantelpiece.
5:15, sir.
How slowly the time passes. I'll not dine till 8.
Chatwood, producing card from breast pocket.
What would you like, sir? Everything very nice at this time of year?
Anything you please, good, bad, or indifferent.
I'll see to it that you have it, sir.
Mable returns to balcony. Chatwood comes to door right. Mable utters an exclamation.
Good gracious, I can't be mistaken. Waiter!
Mable comes into room quickly.
Yes, sir.
A lady has just entered the hotel. A young lady. Tell her there is a visitor here of the name of Mable.
Certainly, sir.
Chatwood goes off, door right.
I wonder if my eyes have deceived me. Now I come to think of it, what on earth should Miss Walkinshaw be doing at Dover? And alone, too. Surely Joslyn, who knew of my journey, would have asked me to take charge of her, or at any rate have mentioned the matter to me. By Jove, I'm forgetting I'm 55 and don't wear spectacles. I'd better stop the waiter.
He crosses to centre as Chatwood enters.
I've told the young lady, sir. She's coming up.
The deuce she is. I'm afraid I may have made a mistake, waiter.
Too late now, sir. Here is the lady.
Florence enters door right.
I'm right. I don't need spectacles after all.
Florence, advancing.
Mr. Mable.
Mable to Chatwood.
Don't stay, waiter.
To Florence.
What an extraordinary accident.
Chatwood aside at door right.
An accident? Same old dodge. It's wonderful what accidents do happen in this here hotel.
Goes out.
You're the last person I expected to meet at Dover.
Eh?
I said you are the last person I expected to find here.
I said that too. And what does bring you to Dover?
Don't think me rude or unkind, Mr. Mable. I can't. I mustn't tell you. It's a secret.
Don't tell me anything. You shall know all about me instead. I'm going to Paris.
To Paris?
Mable, smiling.
Hello? I think you have told me something. You're going to Paris.
Florence, perplexed.
Oh, what shall I do?
I travel by the 10 o'clock boat.
The 10 o'clock boat?
There you go again. You will let the cat out of the bag. You are going by the 10 o'clock boat.
Florence, sitting on sofa, crying.
Oh, Mr. Mable, I don't want anybody to know.
Mable, on her left, patting her shoulder kindly.
Come. Nobody will know except myself, the captain and all the passengers, and perhaps the stewardess. I'm afraid you're in some trouble. What about Joslyn? Isn't he to know?
Florence, sobbing.
Oh, no, please don't tell him.
Very well, I won't on one condition. Joslyn is a friend of mine, and a fine, honest lad. Now I'll respect your secret. That's for your sake.
She takes his hand gratefully.
And I'll stick to you till I see you safely disposed of in Paris. That's for Joslyn's sake.
She rises.
No, not a word. I'm very firm.
You're very kind.
Fiddle-dee-dee. The first thing to be done is that you should take off your hat and cape and rest, while I smoke my pipe on the balcony.
Florence, smiling and taking off hat, etc.
I suppose it's of no use my saying no.
Goes to sofa and sits.
The second, that you dine with me here at 8 o'clock.
Florence, despondingly.
I shan't be able to eat.
I didn't say eat. Half the people who dine never eat. Now I'll leave you. If your eyes are not closed in 5 minutes, I'll storm the place down.
What makes you so like a father to me?
Mabel, patting her head.
Florence.
Won't you tell me?
I have told you. The reason is all in that little name, Florence.
He goes up and out on balcony.
I wish I could tell him everything, but I'm afraid he would try to reason with me. Men always get the best of women by their dreadful habit of reasoning, as if the grandest actions in the world weren't done without any reason whatever.
She throws herself on sofa.
I will try to rest.
Closes her eyes wearily.
Ah, the moment I close my eyes, I begin to think of Joslyn. Poor Joslyn. I wonder if he is very much cut up. I hope he isn't. No, I hope he is.
She falls asleep. There is a moment's pause, and then voices are heard distinctly in the adjoining room.
What a small room for 4 of us. Mind the little dog, Adolphus?
I wish it had looked over the sea. It might revive the Chevalier.
Sorry the Chevalier's so beastly seedy. Try a weed on the jetty, Chevalier.
No, I'll not allow him to smoke in his condition.
All I want is to be allowed to lie down here with my face to the wall.
I will never leave you.
The voices cease as Florence starts up from the sofa.
What's that? They're following me. Lady Hammersmith! Joslyn!
Looking round in a daze.
Oh, I thought I heard Lady Hammersmith's voice.
Mabel enters room from balcony and comes down left centre.
Come, come. This isn't resting.
Florence, going to him.
I have been dreaming. I thought I heard voices which seemed familiar to me, and then I must have started up.
Rosaline laughs, and there is an indistinct murmur from room left.
Of course. Some noisy people in the next room.
He rings bell.
I must find you some quieter resting place. Half the people in this world seem bent on disturbing the other half. There, there. Why, you are all of a tremble.
Chatwood enters door right.
Waiter, show this lady to a room where she can rest without being disturbed by noisy neighbors.
Yes, sir. Certainly, sir. Will you come this way, ma'am?
Mabel to Florence.
Run along, and you shan't be roused again till 8 o'clock.
How good you are! How good you are!
She is followed by Chatwood out of door right. Leadenhall from room left.
A capital idea. I know what will pull him round.
Mabel, turning.
Why, I recognize that voice.
Yes, a brandy and soda, and not too much beastly soda.
If that's not Lord Leadenhall, I'm a Dutchman. What does he do at Dover? Here's another complication. If he sees Florence here, her secret, poor girl, is no longer in my keeping. No, I must explain matters to Leadenhall without delay.
He goes to door left and turns handle.
Locked, of course. I might have known that.
He knocks. There is no response.
Perhaps it would be more polite to go round and find his room. Yes, I'm sure it would.
Crossing to door right.
Dear me, how people do turn up in strange places. The world's very, very small.
He goes out, door right. Directly he has gone, the door left is opened from the other side by Chatwood. Chatwood, entering.
Don't know who could have knocked, sir. There is no one here.
Leadenhall enters, still carrying dog.
I'm sure I heard a rap at the door, and someone turn the handle. It's a beastly liberty.
Rosaline enters.
Oh, what a comfortable room. So much better than ours. Look, Matilda, here is the sea.
Rosaline goes on to balcony, followed by Leadenhall. Lady Hammersmith enters.
This is the apartment we should have had. They don't guess who we really are. This is the result of travelling incognito.
I beg pardon, ma'am. We didn't know you were anybody.
What?
I mean anybody in particular. I'll go downstairs and see if I can get your room changed.
Goes out, door right. Rosaline comes down.
How is the dear Chevalier? Is he still so nervous?
Nervous? No. Why should he be nervous? Gout in the tooth, he says it is. Yes, dear, a family complaint he inherited with his estates. Chevalier, come here. I'm certain the sea breeze will revive you, dear Chevalier.
Rosaline goes up on balcony. Lady Hammersmith re-enters room left. Rosaline on balcony to Leadenhall.
Adolphus!
Yes, love?
Be careful. You will drop the little Caesar over the balcony.
Oh, no, Rosie.
Lady Hammersmith enters, leading Walkinshaw, who is in travelling attire. He has a cloth cap drawn over his eyes and a muffler up to his nose.
Are you better?
Not much.
First ascertaining that Rosaline is out of the way, he pulls down the collar of his coat. His hair is cut and his face clean-shaven. He is pale and mean-looking.
How do you think I'm looking?
Very like the first Napoleon.
I feel the resemblance. I should like to view distant France from the end of the jetty. I think a stroll would pull me together.
Come on, then. We will stroll.
No, I don't think we will stroll. I think I will stroll.
You are tired of my society?
Matilda, you wound me. There seems to be a general conspiracy to wound me. It's because you've been so incessant in your attentions that I want you to rest. Ever since we fell together on the doorstep of the house in Portman Square, you have never left me.
You must have been mad to have rushed from your Matilda.
When the hairdresser came, you never left me. When the doctor came, you never left me. When...
Lady Hammersmith, clinging to him.
No, and I never will leave you. Never, never, never.
Rosaline re-enters room from window.
Won't the Chevalier come on to the balcony?
He is still very much upset. Probably at revisiting the land of his former fortunes.
Walkinshaw, with a groan, runs to sofa and throws himself upon it, face to the wall. To Lady Hammersmith.
Oh, keep her away! Keep her away!
Poor Chevalier. Let me speak to him of France.
No, I'd rather not. I'd rather not.
Lady Hammersmith to Rosaline.
Thank you very much, dear, but somehow he cannot endure anybody but me.
Rosaline, tapping Lady Hammersmith's cheek playfully.
Ah, that is a hint, Matilda. Well, lovers must be indulged.
Lady Hammersmith, looking down bashfully.
Oh, no, it isn't that at all, dear.
Don't forget you are in a stranger's room, Matilda. Come along, Adolphus.
Aside.
I should like to see his face for a moment, though I dare say it is an ugly one. What a lover to have! What a lover to have! Adolphus, come along. Adolphus?
Yes, Rosie?
She goes off, laughing to herself, left, followed by Leadenhall. Lady Hammersmith, coming to side of sofa.
We are alone.
Walkinshaw, sitting up, much relieved.
Oh, that's all right.
Lady Hammersmith, sitting beside him.
You don't seem to have taken to Rosaline.
Yes, I have taken to Rosaline. I've taken a great dislike to Rosaline.
But why?
I don't like her face. I don't like her voice. Don't like her manner. She's in the way.
In the way? She's my companion, my protector.
Bosh, tush, pshaw, pooh.
Chevalier!
Walkinshaw, rising.
Companion, protector. Where's mine? I came alone.
You're a man.
You're another. I mean, you're a widow.
A widow should be careful.
A widow generally is.
Running away with a man is no trifling matter.
Not for the man.
Lady Hammersmith, proudly.
When I married the alderman, everybody knew it. Everybody knew it.
Walkinshaw, rising and going up.
Everybody will know it now if you're not quieter.
This is too bad. You have enticed me away from London, and now you wish to deprive me of my friends? Heartless, cruel. You're like all the men.
A good job, too.
Ah!
Bah.
Lady Hammersmith, crying, goes upstage and out onto the balcony. Walkinshaw, aside.
Cantankerous old cat.
Crosses left centre. Lady Hammersmith, from window.
I feel inclined to throw myself into the sea. Aren't you frightened?
Yes.
Aside.
That you won't do it.
Crosses and seats himself in armchair, left centre.
What a mess, I mean. If only she'd give me a chance of slipping back to London. Not for 1 second has she let me out of her sight since she tripped me up on the doorstep of the house in Portman Square. What a mess, I mean. Just as I was going up in the world, going up like a rocket, to think that Rosaline, whom I thought was with the angels, devil take her, should turn up. If I fall into the clutches of that she-devil, I'm cooked. If I can only sneak away from this objectionable old woman before Rosaline recognizes me, that'll be a point saved. I can easily lie quiet till Joslyn has married Florence, and then, for the sake of the family credit, they'll hush up my misfortunes.
Looking over the back of his chair towards Lady Hammersmith.
She's looking the other way. Can I manage it?
He rises and walks on tiptoe over to door right. As he reaches centre, Lady Hammersmith turns sharply and meets him left centre.
Where are you going?
I'm going to get a little fresh air.
Ha! You'll have plenty of fresh air on board the boat.
Walkinshaw, turning away with a groan, aside.
She knows I can't walk off that boat. Oh, what a mess I'm in.
Sits in armchair, left centre. Lady Hammersmith, coming down to him.
Chevalier.
Oh.
Chevalier. Nay, it's time I gave you your Christian name. Fitzgerald. We've had our first little lovers' quarrel. Our first tiff.
In a kittenish way.
Shall we be reconciled?
Taking both his hands.
Shall we make it up?
Walkinshaw, releasing himself.
Matilda, don't! The real owner of this room might return. Let's be particular.
The waiter has gone to ask him to place it at our disposal. Oh, Fitzgerald, it's worthwhile to quarrel. if only for the sake of this happy reconciliation. Shall we quarrel always when we're together?
Yes.
There is a knock at door right.
A knock at the door. If it's the owner of the room, explain who we are.
She runs off onto balcony. The knock is repeated. Then the door opens and Joslyn enters breathlessly. Joslyn, looking round but not seeing Walkinshaw.
The bookkeeper told me this was the room. There is no young lady here. Ah, confound it, I hope I haven't lost scent again. Oh, I'm almost knocked up.
He sits, wiping his brow right of table. Walkinshaw peeps over back of chair.
Joslyn! Oh, the devil!
He sinks down again as Lady Hammersmith looks in at the window. Aside.
Who's that sitting at the table, I wonder?
She advances a step softly.
Oh, it's Joslyn.
In a fright.
He's tracked us here. He is so violent he'll hurt Fitzgerald. What shall I do?
She creeps softly towards door left. Walkinshaw watching her round his chair. She goes out, door left. Walkinshaw rises.
Now's my chance.
He is sneaking round back of stage to right door when door left, through which Lady Hammersmith has just passed, is sharply closed and locked. Joslyn starts up with the sound and sees Walkinshaw.
What's that? Who are you? Good gracious, the Chevalier! What have you done to yourself?
Never you mind. Let me pass. Let me pass.
Let you pass? Yes, when you have rendered an account of your movements to me. Oh, I know why you're here. You have followed her to Dover.
I have followed no one to Dover.
You have, sir. You see, I am only a little behind you.
You're always a little behind me.
I say you have followed your victim to this hotel.
My victim?
Yes, she's in your clutches.
Is she? I think I'm in hers.
You don't know that she sent me a letter previous to her flight from London.
She did?
She did.
Walkinshaw, aside.
Oh, the treacherous old cat!
Shakes fist at door left.
I formed the idea that Paris was to be her destination. I started in pursuit. I reached Folkestone at 5:30. I found I was on the wrong scent and took the train to Dover. Give her up to me, do hear. I'll not leave this hotel without her.
Walkinshaw seizing him warmly by the hand.
My dear sir, she's yours. You shall have her. Take her away. She's yours.
Pointing to door left.
In that room.
Joslyn takes step to right.
With Lord Leadenhall and Madame Fabriquette.
Lord Leadenhall and Madame Fabriquette? What do they do here?
They were to have been best man and bridesmaid.
The best man and bridesmaid? Where? When? How?
In Paris, at our wedding.
At your wedding? Why, you scoundrel, you're her father.
Am I? She's old enough to be my mother.
Mr. Walkinshaw, you are not sober.
I am.
You're not.
Walkinshaw seizing his arm.
I am. You stand a bottle of champagne in the bar and see the difference.
Joslyn shaking him off.
Don't touch me. I'll make up my mind what to do with you when I've seen Florence. Stand aside and let me speak to Florence.
Florence? You don't know what you're talking about. You've just left Florence.
Where?
In Portman Square.
She's in that room.
She isn't. You're mad. I'm going.
Joslyn stops him firmly.
Mr. Walkinshaw, I don't want to injure an old man.
You should have thought of that this morning.
But as sure as we are sinners, you especially, I'll shake the life out of you if you deceive me any longer. Where is Florence?
I don't know. On my honour as a gentleman.
Joslyn releases him and falls back.
Then what do you mean by telling me that?
Joslyn catches sight of the hat and cape lying on table.
Why, you scoundrel, here are Florence's hat and cape.
What?
Look, do you think I could not recognize that hat amongst 1,000? Come here.
He seizes Walkinshaw and drags him up to door left, turning the handle.
Florence! Florence! Are you there? It is I, Joslyn.
Knocking at the door violently.
Let me in, whoever is in this room. I will come in.
Walkinshaw clinging to him frantically.
No, don't. You don't know what you're doing. Joslyn, my boy, there's a lady there I don't particularly wish to see.
Dragging him away from door.
Joslyn, I've been a little bit wild in my time. Boys will be boys. We must all sow our wild oats. My wild oats are locked up in that room. Don't let 'em out, Joslyn, don't. There's a whole bushel basket full of 'em.
Sinks on his knees before Joslyn.
Explain yourself. What's the matter with you?
Walkinshaw rises.
I came here with your mother. We were to cross to Calais tonight and to be married on the quiet in Paris.
Joslyn, indignantly.
You infernal scoundrel.
Don't be angry. It was an affair of the heart. Love's young dream. You felt it yourself, Joslyn. But I've found out my mistake, and I don't think the old lady's the sort of party calculated to make me happy.
You heap of selfishness. She's too good for you.
Yes, she's too good for me. I'll leave her for someone else. I'll give her away at the altar myself. I'll do everything handsomely.
But where is Florence?
I don't know. Upon my soul, I don't.
Joslyn producing Florence's letter.
Read that. Your daughter's handwriting.
Walkinshaw reading letter.
Oh, my goodness. What ingratitude after all I've done for her.
Chatwood enters door right.
If you please, sir, I can't find the gentleman who took this room.
Waiter, where is the young lady who was here a short time ago?
The young lady, sir. She's in room number 27 on the floor above. This way, sir.
Chatwood goes out. Joslyn follows him. Walkinshaw follows Joslyn. Joslyn to Walkinshaw.
Be good enough to remain where you are.
I won't. If my daughter is in this hotel, I insist upon seeing her. You can't keep a father from his child. It's inhuman.
When I've found her, you shall see her. But I've not done with you, Chevalier, and I'm going to turn the key in this door.
No, don't.
Joslyn goes out. The key is heard to turn. Walkinshaw, on his knees, speaks through the keyhole, coaxingly.
Joslyn, let me out, let me out. Let me out, I want to speak to you one word. Let me out, Joslyn, and I'll make it worth your while. Joslyn, I can teach you a trick or two at écarté or lansquenet. I can give you a splendid tip for the c'est léger.
He rises.
He's gone. Beast. What a mess I'm in. I'm cooked, and I shall be served up to the police. Oh, what a sad end when I've always been so particular not to mix with the police. What's that?
Door left opens, and Lady Hammersmith enters, closing door after her.
Where's Joslyn?
You can't get out. He's locked the door.
Why?
To prevent my following him, the coward.
Chevalier, do you know that Florence has run away from Portman Square and is in this hotel?
Yes, everybody seems to be in this hotel.
Do you know, too, that she is going to Paris?
Yes, everybody is going to Paris. Who told you about Florence?
A gentleman who happens to be stopping here.
Another man stopping at this hotel. What a business they are doing here. Is he going to Paris too?
Yes, he is.
Thought so. Oh, what a business they will do in Paris. Who is he?
A friend of mine, a Mr. Mable.
Walkinshaw, leaping out of his chair.
What?
A friend of mine, a passenger by the 10 o'clock boat, Mr. Mable.
John Mable?
Yes, John Mable. Do you know him?
Yes, no. Oh.
He sinks into chair.
Fitzgerald, what is the matter with you?
Keep him away. I don't want to know any more men. I don't want to make any fresh acquaintances.
Why? He's a very nice man with a great sorrow.
So am I. So am I. So am I.
He's on his road to Paris in search of a missing brother and daughter.
Where is he?
In our room. We are in his.
Walkinshaw, rising.
Ah!
He runs upstage and out on balcony. Looking down.
30 feet at least. That won't do.
Door left opens and John Mable enters. Comes down left, putting pipe on mantelpiece, and is just turning up stage as Walkinshaw appears in room from off the balcony. Mable, coming face to face with Walkinshaw.
Great heavens! Joshua!
Joshua? That's Fitzgerald Walkinshaw.
My brother, Joshua Mable. After all these years.
Your brother? Oh, gracious! What will become of me?
There is a pause, after which Walkinshaw extends his hand to Mable.
What, John? You've come back. We'd almost given you up, John.
What is the meaning of this assumed name? Your long silence?
Things have been very quiet. I haven't had any news, John.
Where is my child? The solemn charge I reposed in you 17 years ago.
What? Little Flo? Didn't you know, Jack? I've been a second father to her. I've brought her up as my own child.
As your own child? Doesn't my daughter know that her father lives?
She knows that I live, Jack. It was so very uncertain whether you'd ever return from India. I thought it best not to bother her with a bereavement. It has worked wonderfully well, Jack. I shouldn't disturb things. I'd let 'em alone, Jack. I would, indeed.
Then when I meet my Florence after all these years, she will treat me as a stranger, as one of whom she knows neither good nor ill? My place has been usurped, and by you, and my child may hate me.
He sinks into chair and covers his face with his hands. Walkinshaw to Lady Hammersmith.
Matilda.
Lady Hammersmith, glaring.
Yes, Fitzgerald.
Crossing to Mable.
Mr. Mable, you don't see your way clear yet. I believe this wretch's motive has been mean and dishonourable. Ask the girl herself what she knows. Ask Florence.
Mable, looking up.
My Florence?
Your Florence, his Florence, our Florence. You say she's here? Find her.
Mable, rising.
Here, don't tell me that Florence Walkinshaw, the girl whose hand I have held in mine, is...
Your daughter, John Mable. Wake up, man.
Ah!
The door right opens and Joslyn enters. Mable, going to Joslyn.
Joslyn!
Mr. Mable.
Where is Florence? Take me to her. Don't keep us apart a moment longer. Where is she? I demand to see her.
Come with me.
John Mable and Joslyn go out of door right. Walkinshaw is about to follow when Lady Hammersmith catches him by the collar and stops him.
No, you don't.
Don't be ridiculous, Matilda. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Ha! If you're back in 10 years when once I've left you, you may think yourself lucky. So, you don't like Rosaline Fabriquette's face, don't you? Or her voice, or her manner. And you try to disguise your ugly face, you villain.
Throws him off.
Matilda, you're not going to make a nasty police case of it, are you?
Don't cringe to me. Ask her.
Huh?
Ask Joshua Mable's lawful wife, my friend, Rosaline Fabriquette. Rosaline!
No, Matilda. Don't give me up to her, and I'll confess everything. Oh, she's a tartar. She led me a dreadful life when we were together.
Rosaline!
You've seen her smile. I've seen her show her teeth. You've seen her in her fineries. She's a demon in curl papers. Don't!
Rosaline!
Rosaline, off stage left.
I'm coming, Matilda.
Oh!
He throws himself on sofa. Lady Hammersmith standing over him. Rosaline enters, followed by Leadenhall, who still nurses the dog. Lady Hammersmith, going to Rosaline, centre.
Rosaline, we are the two most unhappy women.
Pointing at Walkinshaw.
Look at that wretched object.
Matilda!
The monster upon whom I've wasted the affections of my mature years.
The Chevalier Walkinshaw?
Ah, the Chevalier Bosch. That is Joshua Mable. The man who has stolen his brother's child. The wretch who has deceived me. Your husband, Rosaline, whom you thought dead and buried. There he is.
There is a pause.
Let me go to him, Matilda.
Walkinshaw, without moving, utters a suppressed groan.
Oh!
Lady Hammersmith steps back. Rosaline advances to Walkinshaw and taps him on the shoulder.
Joshua.
No answer.
Joshua Mable, my husband.
Walkinshaw very slowly sits up and faces her. Walkinshaw, mildly.
What, Rosie?
He puts out his hand. She snatches hers away.
Well, this is a surprise.
So, you are not dead, then?
No, not yet.
Nor buried?
No, neither are you, Rosie.
What have you done with your moustache and whiskers? You are more ugly than ever.
Seizes him by throat.
You're plainer than you used to be.
Ah!
She puts her hand on his coat collar. He rises. Rosaline drags him down, left centre.
Rosie, you're not going to make a nasty law business of this, are you, Rosie?
No, I shall correct you myself.
When?
When?
In his ear, speaking through her teeth.
When I get you home.
Oh.
Leadenhall, who has been stolidly looking on.
Well, this is beastly. All the chappies will make fun of me when I get back to town.
Never mind, Adolphus. As you English say, wait.
Turning to Walkinshaw.
And hope.
Walkinshaw, faintly, and sinking into chair.
Oh.
Leadenhall, throwing dog to Rosie.
Here, you take the beastly beast.
Mabel and Florence enter door right, followed by Joslyn.
Ah, Lady Hammersmith, my pilgrimage is ended. Here is my daughter. Yes, and my son, too.
Lady Hammersmith goes to Joslyn and Florence. Mabel comes to Walkinshaw.
As for you, sir, this young man here has told me what he knows of your rascally history. But considering that you have, notwithstanding all your villainous plots and plans, restored my child to me safe and sound, I forgive you, and I advise all in this room to extend a similar compassion to you. Lady Hammersmith?
Lady Hammersmith rises from sofa and crosses to Mabel.
I am so thankful to be rid of his bigamous attentions that I forgive him.
Florence, my child?
In the midst of my great happiness, Papa, I remember only his acts of kindness, and from my heart I forgive him.
I'm so delighted to find that he is not your father nor mine, Florence. I forgive him.
Madame Fabriquette?
Lady Hammersmith hastily.
Mr. Mable?
Lady Hammersmith whispers in Mabel's ear.
Good gracious! That lady his wife?
Yes, Mr. Mable, his wife, though I never knew of your daughter's existence.
Then shall we say we forgive the rascal all round?
Walkinshaw starts up indignantly, nobly.
Never. Sir, I scorn your forgiveness. My conscience is my reward. I have rendered a service to everyone present.
Pointing to Joslyn.
I have provided an estimable wife for that young man.
Pointing to Leadenhall.
I have saved that young man from marrying a shrew and a termagant.
Pointing to Lady Hammersmith.
I have taught that silly old lady a lesson she will never forget, and I return her to her guardian as good as new.
To Mabel.
I have cared for your daughter as tenderly as if she had been my own.
Yes, by concealing from her her name and parentage, so that when she married a rich husband, you could share her good fortune.
I admit it, sir. I admit it. It was the only provision I could make for my declining years. Thrift and providence have been my one fault, and you, sir, have robbed a brother of the savings of a lifetime. I don't envy you, sir. I have gone up like a rocket, and have come down like a stick. Still, there is dignity even in a fallen ruin, and if I require forgiveness...
Pointing to audience.
I shall ask for it here.
Music. Curtain. End of Act 3. End of The Rocket by Arthur Wing PINERO.